So I'm going to answer a few questions. We're going to record these answers so that instead of one long message this morning, we get several little short ones. The question was asked to me yesterday: how should we as Christians show respect or deal with a boss who maybe be sort of unreasonable, or perhaps they have a completely different worldview, creating difficulty in the workplace? And so I've had a few minutes to think about this, and I'm going to read from 1 Timothy chapter 2, and Paul writes there to Timothy saying, "First of all then, I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all people, for kings and all who are in high position, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way." I think a boss falls in this passage very reasonably. The call here is for the early church to be praying for anybody in authority positions. For them, that most specifically would have applied to the emperor, to any kind of Roman governors that were placed over them. And as much as we might feel like a boss is unreasonable at times, think about how much more unreasonable the Caesars were, the emperors. So I think this should apply to us in a very real and tangible way. And I think too that we look at this and we go, okay, I ought to be praying for that person. All right, I'll pray for him a little bit, and my point here would be, no, we should really be praying. Paul, the way he puts this: supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgiving be made for all people, for kings and all who are in high position. That's about more than just a quick, "Oh Lord, please help them." That's about true intercessory prayer, praying on behalf of this person. So one application of this: as you're headed to work and you start to feel your stress level coming up, pray about it. Pray specifically for that boss that you're having a hard time with. As you get to your desk and something unreasonable is coming up, pray about it. Pray for God to be at work in their life. And realize that in doing this, in presenting that person in authority, presenting them before God, we are asking God to take command and have authority in that space. And what does God say about when he is put in that position of authority? He says things like, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay." I'm going to tell a couple stories here real quick of times that I know of where somebody really started doing this. And these are awful stories, actually, but I know about a situation where someone was in a key position in a church, and they were making things really hard for a pastor. So, the pastor is oftentimes the new guy, where other people in positions in the church, the custodian, the secretary, the elders, and whoever that might have authority there, or a lot of control of information, they've usually been there all their lives, and so they can really make it hard on a pastor. Well, a couple of pastors that I know were getting together, and they were meeting, and one pastor says to the other, I'm really having a hard time with this individual in my church, and they've got this position where they have a lot of authority and power, and they're really making things hard. And the second pastor said to him, "Okay, well, let's start praying about this. Let's see if we can pray them out of that position." And so they begin praying together, and they're praying regularly. Well, the next time they meet together, the second pastor asked him, how is that now? Have things changed at all? And the first guy said, "Well, yeah, actually they have. That individual died." Nothing to celebrate there in the fact that somebody died. But the point here is, you put them in God's hands, and let God sort them out. Not that we would want ill for anybody, but I know of multiple situations where something like this has happened. Maybe the way God deals with it is to change someone else's heart. Maybe the way that God deals with it is change your heart or my heart. And one of the people that was hardest on me when I was a young pastor, I began praying for him, and I finally went and I sat down and talked with him. And you know what? That guy became one of the greatest encouragers I ever had. And I still remember him with fondness. So begin praying. Prayer changes things. It begs God to get involved with the situation, but maybe most importantly, it changes us and the way we look at that person, and we start to see them in a different light, and we can grow through that. So there's my baseline encouragement.